Here's how you complete a work history report that's SSA 3369BK for those of you keeping track of the form numbers. We're going to scroll down, and this is just going to be a guide on how I would complete this form if I were applying for disability. And whenever I go through this guide, I'll give different advice for people who are below 50 and for people who are over 50. To start that out, if you are below 45 years old, to be absolutely safe, and you're applying for Social Security disability, it really does not matter how you fill this form out. Regardless of how you fill it out, you're going to have to show the Social Security Administration that there are no jobs that you can complete in order for you to qualify for Social Security disability benefits. This form just really doesn't matter for you. If you are 45 and up, particularly if you're over 50, it really starts to matter. Once you're over 50, it becomes a lot easier to get disability benefits. And you no longer have to show that you can't perform every job. You just have to show that you can't perform jobs at the light level, meaning that you don't have to show that you can't perform sedentary jobs, and you would still be able to get Social Security disability benefits. And here's the catch: so long as you cannot perform your past work. And so it becomes really important to fill this form out in a way that's going to be favorable for your Social Security disability claim, because whether or not you get disability benefits could depend largely on whether or not you perform your past work, and the SSA gets that information from you using this form. All right, so here we go. Bradley A. Thomas, Social Security number 999-99-9999. That is, in fact, my actual Social Security number. Daytime telephone number. If you want to reach me about your Social Security disability case, I can be reached at 972-863-2367. Job title. We'll say warehouse worker, type of business, construction. Dates worked 2005 through 2010. Please note, the only jobs you need to include here are the jobs that you've had in the last 15 years. So this job would barely be relevant because it's 2023 as of the recording of this video. So really only be important for 2008 onward. And this is going to be a heavy job. We'll include a second job, barista, type of business, coffee shop, worked there from 2011 through 2015. You're on your feet all day for this job, but you're not having to do the heavy lifting of the warehouse worker job. And then lastly, we're going to be a secretary, a type of business, insurance, and we worked this job from 2016 through 2020 when we hypothetically stopped working. And this will give you an idea of how to favorably fill out a warehouse worker job, a barista job, or a light job, and then a sedentary job with secretary. The first job, or warehouse worker, $15 an hour, 40 hours a day, 5 days per week. Describe this job. Whenever you're filling out your job information, you need to be as detailed as you can possibly be. So we're going to say lifted and carried materials around the warehouse, sorted and stored materials in their location, drove forklift to transport materials, drafted, received, and data from packing slips, made sure warehouse floor was cleared up. Seriously, every time. For all jobs, you want to include as much detail as possible in these 3 lines. If it takes longer than 3 lines, attach an additional page. Essentially, your case comes down to whether or not you can perform your past work. If you can't do part of what a job entailed, that might prevent you from being able to return to that past job, which might win or loses your case. So this part's really important. Did you use machines, tools, or equipment? Yes. Technical knowledge or skills? Yes. Did you complete any reports? Yes. I'm saying this for this job because it fits our hypothetical job that we're talking about. But preferably you want the answers to these questions to be no. The more physically demanding a job is, the better it is for you. The more skilled a job is, the worse it is for you as a general principle. In this job, how many hours total each day did you walk, stand, sit, climb, stoop, kneel, crouch, crawl, handle, reach, write? So your walking, standing, and sitting need to add up to 8 hours if you worked, let's say 40. 8 hours a day, 5 days a week up there. So this needs to add up to 8. Walking for 5, standing for 2, sitting for 1 in an 8-hour day. And the rest of these don't need to add up to 8 hours. 0.5 for 30 minutes. We'll say we did that for 4 hours. Reaching for 3, handling small objects for 2. The rest of these matter less. It's really about the walking, standing, and sitting. Any of these could make a difference for any one particular case, but most cases are going to depend on the walking, sitting, and standing. And, reaching, handling objects, big or small, that's kind of second place. Manipulative limitations are very strong in disability cases. The higher the handling, reaching, and writing, the better. The higher the walking and standing, the better. The lower the sitting, the better. And of course, always be honest whenever you're completing these forms. You can't have like a job title warehouse worker where you're sitting for 6 hours in a day. It's going to affect your credibility, but just understanding the general guideposts of what's favorable is important in completing these forms. Lifting and carrying. Explain what you lifted and carried, how far you carried it, how often you did this. Lifted heavy machine parts for at least half the day. Lifting and carrying is important whenever you're over 50. If you're a doctor or you have a problem with your back, you can no longer lift or carry heavy weights that you used to in your old job. That can be something that wins your case for you. So think deep and think about the heaviest thing that you ever lifted in your job and talk about it here. And talk about everything you ever have to lift. But most importantly is the frequency that you had to lift and the heaviest weight you ever lifted. Because those are the things that are outer limits that you can show that, okay, well, I can't lift that frequently anymore, so I should be considered disabled. I can't do that past job. Or I can't lift that heavy of a weight anymore, so I therefore can't do that past job and should be disabled. Check the heaviest weight lifted. We'll say 50 pounds. We'll say 100 pounds here. This is a warehouse job. This is very heavy work for us. Weight you most frequently lifted, 50 pounds or more. The heavier weight, of course, the better for you, regardless of job type. Did you supervise other people in this job? You want the answer to that question to be no. Of course, we're not going to lie. We did supervise people in this job. How many people did you supervise? The fewer, the better. How much time do you spend supervising people? The less, the better. We'll say 2 hours. Did you hire and fire? You want no for this question. We'll say yes here. Were you a lead worker? You want the answer to be no. I mean, it's just better for you. The truth is the most important thing. Barista, rate of pay, $15 an hour, 8 hours a day, not 40, 5 days a week. Describe this job. Made coffee, drinks, used an espresso machine, served pastries to customers, worked a cash register, received boxes of goods to be served, and sold. And what I'm doing here is I'm just trying to show you, just got to fill up this space with as much stuff as possible, focusing primarily on this is how much I had to lift, this is how much I had to reach, that kind of stuff. So receive boxes of goods to be served and sold, wash dishes in back, mopped floor at store, close, took out trash, put clean dishes in areas to be used. Okay, so we've done our due diligence here. We filled this out completely. Yay. In this job, did you use machines, the espresso machine, technical knowledge or skills? I'm going to say not technical knowledge. Did you do any writing? No. We had to walk for maybe 1 hour, walked and standed all day. We didn't do any sitting. We didn't do any climbing. Half an hour of stooping, half an hour of kneeling and crouching and crawling. Grasp big objects for 2 hours a day. We're reaching nearly all day. And we're handling small objects all day. Lifting and carrying. Lifted heavy boxes in back of store that contained food to be sold to customers. Emptied trash. Moved mop bucket. The heaviest weight lifted, I'm going to say 50 pounds. Most frequently less than 10. Do you supervise other people? No. Skip to the last question. If that answer is no, were you a lead worker? No. We've done a good job here. We've emphasized that we did a lot of heavy lifting. And job title number 3, this is, if you remember, our secretary job, working in insurance. Rate of pay, we're doing $15 an hour again. 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. For the secretary job, writing letters, transcribing dictations, filing documents, receive phone calls from clients, take phone calls inside office, and to other update clients regarding status of claim, write to emails on behalf of business owner. Did our job, filled out 3 full lines. Machines, tools, or equipment? No. Technical knowledge or skills? Yes. Perform writing, complete reports? Yes. And this is going to be a sedentary job because it requires you to sit for most of the day with none of that stuff. Handle big objects, maybe occasionally reach nearly all day. Write, type, or handle small objects. Lifting and carrying boxes of paper. Lifting up to 50 pounds, but usually lifting less than that, and not supervising or being a lead worker. And so that's how I would complete the form. One thing that you should know about are composite jobs. Now, composite jobs are jobs that have the basic elements of 2 or more jobs that have been combined into one job so that it doesn't have a counterpart in what's called the Dictionary of Occupational Titles, which is the big list of jobs that the SSA uses to categorize jobs that disability claimants have. The composite job rule is important because if you are over 50 and your case comes down to whether or not you can perform your past work, if you can show that your job is a composite job, that is, it's 2 jobs in one, and that you can't do one of those 2 jobs anymore that were combined in your past job, you don't have to show that you can't perform that other job that you could still do. For example, let's say you were a school bus monitor. Monitors conduct of children on school bus to maintain discipline and safety is the basic description of it. This L right here means that this is a light job, which requires standing for 6 hours, sitting for 2 hours in an 8-hour workday, lifting no more than 20 pounds at a time and only 10 pounds frequently. If you're a school bus monitor and you want to show that you can no longer perform this job, you could combine it with a child care attendant, which is a job that attends to personal needs of handicapped children while in school to receive specialized academic and physical training, wheels handicapped children to classes, it goes on and on. But importantly, this is a medium job, which requires lifting up to 50 pounds and lifting up to 25 pounds frequently at a job. If you are working on a school bus, but there are children with wheelchairs on that school bus that you have to help, then you could win your disability case if you can show that this job that you did in the past was a combination of 2 jobs and that you can no longer perform one of them, and therefore you don't have to show that you can no longer perform the job as a school bus monitor, which if you're over 50 is just super duper important. I would contact an attorney if you have questions about whether or not you might be able to apply the composite jobs rule to win your case. Thank you so much for watching my work history report guide. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments section below. If you're interested in applying for disability and are looking for information, I have a free guide to applying for disability on my website, bradthomasdisability.com. Visit my website, scroll about halfway down the page in your email, get a copy of the guide sent to you. It's got some good stuff in there. I spent a lot of time on it, and so I hope it's of some benefit to you. Thanks for watching.